Hey, I'm Vinnie Brand, and I'm here with Distefano, who I'm going to call my friend because I think we're friends.
Yeah.
But the best part about it is that most of the comics, I told you this last night, most of the comics I know as friends or any other way, I knew about before I met them.
Right.
And you I did not know about.
Right.
I met you because on a 4th of July weekend a couple years ago, my guy Mark said, I'm going to book this show, and it's these 3 comics.
Right.
And it was 2 girls and a guy, and you were the guy.
I was the guy.
And I didn't even come in, 4th of July. I'm like, it's going to be 22 people there.
Right.
How could anybody that I don't know be selling a ton of tickets?
Yeah.
And on a 4th of July weekend, you sold out New Brunswick.
Right.
As I recall, Mark cut an amazing deal. It's the most money they've ever made on you.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been downhill for me. Good for you.
Yeah. That show with the girl code, guy code shows with Carly Aquilino and Jessica May Peluso, the girls sold the tickets. I, at that point, was selling no tickets. I was just the guy that they stuck in the middle of the show. But I don't know why I don't remember that weekend as well as you. Probably because I made absolutely no money.
Yeah. Listen, it's the best deal Mark has ever cut for the club.
Yeah.
But let me tell you how much money you were making at that point. I remember saying, are they happy? And all 3 were ecstatic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because actually, I think we gave you, I'm going to tell you what I think it was. I think you guys took no guarantee, and I think you took a 50% door deal, and it was actually a very good door.
Right.
The mistake we maybe made was, I think we sold $15 tickets, which we shouldn't have done.
Should have sold, yeah.
So here's my question. How long were you doing stand-up at that point?
At that point, it was in 2013, 4 years.
4 years. And Girl Code, your first big break.
First big thing, Girl Code, Guy. Well, Guy Code was first. I was a pediatric physical therapist, and then I got on Guy Code, and then Guy Code turned into Girl Code, and then Carly and I started dating, and that became like a thing on the internet. And then we broke up, and then I didn't come out of my house for 3 months. That was the first wave, and then the second wave was COVID. So I remember that was brutal for me. But you know what's good? You know what's interesting thing about the breakup that I had with her? Now we're like such great friends and everything's so cool. So that's a good life lesson. But in 2014, when we broke up, in May of 2014, my heart was like ripped out of my chest. And I was like, oh, I'm so sad and blah, 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 blah. And then just a year later, it's like always like a good life lesson for me. Just a year later, my daughter was born. So I was like, wow, in just a year, I went from the worst month of my life to the best month of my life in just a matter of a year. So now we just always know shit's going to turn around. So that's why, during this pandemic now, I just walk around the hospitals and people on ventilators. I'm like, it's going to turn around.
Right.
I tell them.
So do you get Guy Code without an agent?
I didn't have an agent. What happened is it was just like luck. It's just like, that's why I always remember to try to show up for everything. Even if I don't want to go, I just try to show up because I was at a place called Eastville Comedy Club. This was 2012. And people from MTV and this management company called Apostle Management, the great Jim Serpico's old management company, and Dennis Leary, they were there to watch Damian Lemon. This guy, Damian Lemon.
Sure.
Yeah. And Damian Lemon's great comedian, great friend of mine. But he was late for the show because of
I know why he was late.
Because he's black. No. He had train trouble, and so I wasn't supposed to go up at the time. The agents and the MTV producers and everybody was there to watch Damien at the time slot of 8:15, and then we're going to watch him and leave. But because Damien didn't show up at that time, they threw me up at 8:15 because he was running a few minutes late. So I unknowingly performed in front of the manager Jim Serpico and Tom Saletti, and MTV producers who were scouting for Guy Code, already watching the guy Damian Lemon, and they saw me, and that's how I got signed by Jim Serpico and repped and into the MTV show Guy Code.
Yeah, and
it was like a fluke.
Damien ended up doing the show as well.
Damien did the show as well.
Right.
But they would have never seen me if I didn't go up at that time slot.
Right. Yeah. And how many years were you doing stand-up at that point?
At that point, that was 2012. That was 3 years.
3 years. And were you good already?
I mean, you know me. I don't think I'm good now. I was doing it,
Right.
I did David Letterman in 2013 as well. So I think when I did David Letterman, that's when I finally started to get respect from my peers. Because first it was just, I was an MTV comedian on Guy Code. So the comedians that I looked up to didn't really respect me. And they absolutely still don't. But I got closer. I got closer to getting respect from the Colin Quinns, the Bobby Kellys, the Rich Vosses, the guys I used to listen to on Opie and Anthony and all that. I got closer to getting respect from them when I did David Letterman in 2013. And now it's 2020, and I have a little bit more respect from them.
Well, it's coming now.
It's coming now.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
I see it coming. And so my question is, how stand-up? Why stand-up?
I think the first inkling I got about even thinking I could do stand-up was actually 9/11. Hilarious. No, it was actually 9/11 is because my mom survived but worked in the second building that was hit, and she made it out and everything was fine. But for some time, like a couple of hours, I was in high school and I thought that she was dead. So I was like crying and all upset and all this stuff. And then other kids who's like maybe some of them even lost parents, they put anybody who in my school, high school on that day, anybody who thought that they lost a loved one or couldn't get in contact with a loved one was allowed to leave class and sit in the library. And there was a brother down there, Brother Regis. He was down there like helping all the kids try to track down their family or calming them down. And so I was so upset, my mom, and to make me feel better and try to make the other kids who were upset feeling better, I started just making people laugh. And I didn't know, like, that was just something that I did, like, as a defense mechanism. And Brother Regis was 17. He was like, I think you have that natural sense of humor and that natural want to, make someone laugh. He's like, you should try comedy or get into it. I think you could do it. He was like, either be a lawyer or be a comedian.
Listen, this is about you, but I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm neither now.
Yeah.
So now you go up and you stand up, but what age is the first time you're on stage?
I was 17, 18 when I started to get the idea of doing it. I didn't actually step foot on stage till I was 24.
And that night, how'd you do?
So I actually did a comedy class. My mother is very all about education. She's like, I know you want to do comedy. It's not going to work. You're not as funny as Brother Regis said. She's like, you're. I know you want to do comedy.
Did she really say that?
No, she did. She was like, you're not. She was like, you're funny, but like, I don't see like this working for you, because my mom is very much like, at education, that's what it is. So she was like, she made me a deal. She's like, you can live in my house and do whatever you want as long as you're going to school. So she was like, as long as you're going to school, I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not going to say, don't pursue this, don't pursue that. If you're pursuing it, if you're getting your education, that's all I care about. So I went all the way through college, undergrad, and then graduate school, and became a physical therapist. So was doing comedy. I was doing living with my mom, doing my studies all the way till I was like 26. But the first time I got on stage, I was like, till I was 25, I graduated my doctorate. So when I was 24, my mom, I was in my last year of graduate school, and I was like, Mom, like, I really want to like do stand up and go into that world now that I'm almost got my physical therapy degree. So I was like, for my birthday, because I had no money, I was like, can you buy me a stand-up comedy class? And I found one at Gotham Comedy Club with Jim Mendrinos. And then, and then I did it, and I'll never forget. I did the class. It was like the fourth week, and I was doing comedy, going up, all nervous, whatever Jim was saying, blah, blah, blah. And then I would just go up and then go up once a week. That's what I did. And then Chris Mazzilli, the owner of Gotham Comedy Club, came in one day on the fourth or fifth week, and Jim was like, oh, look, the owner's here. And he talked to us for a little bit. He said, look, here's the thing. He said, there's about 20 of you here right now. He's like, what I'm telling you is, if any of you want even an inkling of a chance to even make it, he's like, statistically, 0 of you will ever make $1 headlining or doing anything like that. He's like, I'm just being honest with you of how rough this business is, especially in New York City. He said, so that's one. He said, so if you want to keep going past that, fine. He said, 2, you have to dedicate your life to comedy if you want to really succeed at this, just like a professional athlete, just like a basketball player would go and practice free throws every day and go and work on his game every day and eat, sleep, and breathe comedy. That's what you have to do as a comedian. He said, in my time of doing this, maybe one of you heard me, maybe one of you I'll see in a year or 2 from now doing an open mic at my club or featuring for someone. He said, maybe. He said, so understand the odds of any of you ever getting on my stage for a weekend are astronomically low. He's like, and I'm only telling you that so you know how hard this is. And I remember when he said that, when he was saying that, I was like, I'm going to be the one that hears every fucking word this guy says, and it changed something in me where I was like, I'm going to at least, now I know what it takes. Now, instead of, you can't just get up once a week. I was an athlete my whole life. I was like, the same thing. I used to get up every morning at 6 a.m. and practice my jump shot and go to and practice before practice. That's what I'm going to do with comedy. And then the next day, I went to the first open mic at the Creek in the Cave in Queens, fucking bombed. And then I just met a couple of friends doing it. And then I was like, my goal every week is I'm going to do 40 open mics a week, every week, dedicate my whole life to it. And then that's what happened.
So the first bomb, Creek in the Cave.
Yeah.
You don't quit?
No, when I remember it being so painful. I remember like literally so painful bombing. But I got right in my car. I got my car and then I drove. There was a website, it still might be there. It's called badslava.com that has all the open mics in the world. But I went right on badslava.com. And it was at the time I didn't have an internet on my phone. So I went to Kinko's and I used their computer on Vernon Boulevard in Queens. And I went to badslava.com and I was like, where's the next open mic? Because I just wanted to get that pain away from me. Right. So I think the best way to do that is to go try again. And I went to an open mic called the Maui Taco in Midtown Manhattan and bombed even harder than I had at the Creek in the Cave. And I remember I had 2 back-to-back bombs, and then I woke up the next day and I was like, I definitely want to do that again. And then I just never, every day since then, besides the pandemic, I think the pandemic, when it happened in March, that was the first time I hadn't been on stage at least 5 times a week since 2010.
Yeah. It shows. It really does show. And so, just a quick side note. My second show was that bomb. And I was going to quit.
Right.
First show was good, second show was bad. I'm like, I'm 500 hitters, I'm out.
Right.
And Paul Vinnie said, no. Tonight's what it's
Paul Vinnie, the comedy tornado?
Yeah, comedy tornado.
Oh, my God.
Jim Mendrino is the comedy coach. So
the comedy burrito.
Yeah. But
he lost a lot of weight now, Jim. Shout out Jim Mendrinos.
Mendrinos is...
Okay. Did something happen with Mendrinos?
No, I love Mendrinos. Mendrinos now is hard left.
Yes.
And when I knew him, I still know him, but back at the comedy business, he was hard right.
Interesting.
I'm dying to find out what happened. So you never wanted to quit?
I never wanted to quit, but I also, because I'd become a physical therapist already, felt like I would listen to some of my peers now say, that they were just a waiter or a waitress and their back was against the wall and they had no money and comedy had to work. I never felt that. I was always like, I enjoy doing comedy. I really want to make it as a stand-up comedian and do entertainment for my life because it's every day of my life feels like a Sunday afternoon. Like days of the week don't matter. It's like when you do what you love, it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like can be on, do something for 15 hours, but I love it. So it's like the day just goes by. So I was like, I want that, but if not, I'm a pediatric physical therapist. It's a gratifying position to help children with disabilities. So I'm like, either way, I feel like I set up my education and my career and I'll take a shot at my dream. And if it doesn't work, then my fallback plan is still a dream job. So I never felt like, I need to quit and this isn't working. I was always kind of like, I'll just, my philosophy is always like, just like let it rip and just see what happens. I always feel like, I think that the job my parents did, what I like to thank them for as I get older is they prepared me. A lot of times I was always like, they're not paying attention to me, they're not doing this. They prepared me to fail very well. I think my mom and dad did a good job at that because if I fail, I can just figure out a contingency plan to try to pick up the pieces and like readjust my thinking. Because I fail a lot.
We're going to get that in a minute.
Yeah.
And so
you should see my set.
Well, your mom supported you.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad at that point?
My dad was the guy who was like, look, he wanted to play for like the Yankees and he like never pursued his dream. He's like, so whatever it is, you want to pursue comedy, go do it. My mother was always like, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to get your education first. My dad was all about sports. My mom was all about education. Both of them. My dad didn't miss one of my mother's very like Catholic religious. So when I start cursing and talking about my genital warts, she gets upset. But my dad is at every show, everything I do, he's just like 100% supportive. My mom's supportive too. She's just like, she my comedy's, she's like very clean comedy.
And listen, they have nothing at all to do with me. They don't impact on me.
Right.
But your genital warts also bother me.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I keep them is because it makes my dick look bigger. I'm 7 normal, 8 with warts.
That's a dedication. I can't. So now, I don't know if you know this. So we've been trying to get you to come back for a while. And, listen, it happens. Guys' careers start cooking. And you start History Hyenas when?
We started History Hyenas in February of 2018. So about 2 years.
Okay.
Over 2 years.
It didn't take off right away.
No.
Okay. And we've been trying to get you back. And I don't even remember how many times we heard no.
Right.
I actually had a complex. I'm like, Chris, Reed doesn't like me. So I did. Because I'm like, why didn't he come back? This is a great room. Now, I understand now. Because I know how busy you were.
Right.
And you're cooking along pre-COVID. And COVID just cuts the legs off an industry.
Yes.
And somewhere, I don't know if it's post-COVID, pre-COVID, I think you said to me, I think it had to be post-COVID, that you didn't want to do the show every day.
Right.
But now you are.
Now I am, yeah, because I just felt like more like contingency plans. I was always like, shit hit the fan with COVID. This thing came out of nowhere. So now it's just like survive in advance. Like, what's the only thing I can do every day is the podcast. So that's the only thing that's been growing my numbers. And yeah, it's literally, timing is everything. It's like I literally, at the end of 2019, early 2020, right before we shut down, I was like adding shows in theaters. Now I have half the room sold out in Bridgeport. It just fucking went away immediately.
But listen, okay, and I'm going to say this for the record because I told
you keep spreading your legs and I'm looking at your prostate.
By the way, you make a lot of references to my genitals. Now listen, here's the thing.
How many? Wait, ask me one more time. How long I've been doing stand-up? About how long? About that time? How long have you been doing stand-up? You say ask me that 3 times. Ask me one more time, and then we can go.
Okay, no. My question is: so you pivot during
right,
and you're making it. A lot of guys didn't make it. So now History is every day.
Yep.
Growing. You still want to do it, or you don't want to do it every day?
I do want to do it. I think I. It's one of those things where because I felt like History is my podcast partner Giannis Pappas and I think we have so much fun and so much chemistry that what we were finding when we were doing it every day is all that stuff. Like when we would do it once a week, we would have all these fucking stories and all this crazy shit that happened and we would just say in the podcast. But when you're doing it every day, it's like all the fun things, like it starts to get like monotonous sometimes. You're like, wait, we told that story already, or well, I know that happened. So now we've pulled it back a little bit and now we only do it twice a week. And the fans have responded, we think, better because they're like, oh, like your energy is alive again.
But you have no guests, just you and Giannis.
Sometimes we have a guest, but a lot of times just me and Giannis. And sometimes if me or Giannis can't do it, we just do it by ourselves.
Right.
Like if one of us can't make it for whatever reason.
And were you friends with Giannis before the industry?
Giannis and I met in like 2010. No, I met him doing comedy, and then in like 2018 or whatever, we were both like, we're both like guys from Brooklyn that like history, but like can't be open about it because like that's just gay if you like school in our parts of Brooklyn. So we were like, let's just do a podcast and just be like open about our love of history, and that's how we started it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Now it's taken off, and Giannis, of course, doing well.
Yeah.
Maybe you're outdrawing Giannis, right?
All Giannis wants to do is sit home and eat. You fat fuck.
Yeah. So you're getting bigger. His training is getting big.
Yeah.
You pivot during COVID and you're making money, which is all good, right?
Yes.
And by the way, you keep saying half a room. I'm telling you, it's a Sunday night 6:00 show.
Yeah.
It's definitely significant that anybody's here.
All right.
Especially this week when they're talking about how bad COVID is.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the question. I've dealt with a lot of guys that were nobodies and then became somebody. Mm-hmm. Now I didn't know. You were already somebody I didn't know.
Right.
Then I thought you were a little standoffish at first, but that was because maybe...
Well, because you're deaf, I thought you were retarded. I didn't know what to say. I was like, I just didn't know if I should give you a nickel. I didn't know what to say.
Well, there's that too, So here's my question. I've dealt with a lot of pains in the ass.
Yeah.
Right? The green room requirements. Now, your green room requirements were nothing.
No, I don't need anything.
How
I just
long?
need you out of it. That's all I need.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Mark has seen us buy sneakers for guys.
Oh my gosh. Buy sneakers?
Sneakers.
What the fuck?
Exactly. Sneakers for guys, cigars for guys. Okay. Certain liquors.
Okay.
There's a guy who actually wants you to buy weed now.
All right. The sneakers is insane.
Oh, that's insane.
What the fuck?
Okay. Here's my question. How long? How much bigger do you have to get before I'm reading a rider that some asshole agent sent me, and I'm going, Distefano's nuts now.
No, I honestly, because I think I haven't skyrocketed. I've been doing it now going on 11 years, and it's like it's moving. I'm happy to be moving up, but it's going at a slower pace. I don't think I'll be the guy, because I understand what it is to be like at the bottom doing an open mic, not, nobody caring. So I don't think I take it for granted and be like, I need fucking sneakers. I don't think, but I don't think I would.
Mark wanted me to ask this question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
What is that thing you're going to ask for when your thoughts go away and you go, screw it, I'm worth it? What is it going to be?
What would I fucking want if I had to get anything?
This is what happens. This is what happens, America. An agent's going to say to you someday,
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. Someone just say, Chris, what do you want?
What do I need?
No, I just said, what do you want? Need, everyone can understand. Sergio needs a personality.
I would want, I'm trying to think. Sergio, what do you think I want?
Condoms?
We don't use those. Warts, Christy warts. I'm trying to think, because I wouldn't want,
So you don't think you'll become an asshole?
I mean, I don't think so, but like, do the guys who became assholes, would they have said before they became assholes that they don't think they become assholes, or were they assholes the whole time? Like the guy who wanted sneakers, even before he wanted sneakers, was he a dick?
I think the day he was born, his mother said, this one's an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That guy's an asshole.
That guy's an asshole.
And there aren't that many bad guys. They're just bad riders.
Right, bad riders. Yeah.
Guys come in there, for the most part, they're great guys. Like the guy, Ray Romano, never wanted anything.
Yeah, and he's a humongous. Yeah.
Sweetest guy in the world.
Right.
Brian Regan, Kevin James, easy guys.
Right.
We had a rider on Damon Wayons.
Right.
And we went out and we did the rider.
Right.
And Damon came in the green room and goes, Vinnie, you don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
He goes, this is for when I'm doing a theater.
Yeah.
And he's the sweetest, easiest guy.
Well, agents don't give a fuck about you. I mean, they don't care. I feel like the more and more I get into this, I'm like, agents don't care. I literally, for a year, I was public about it, whatever. I was like, because my kid's mom was a vegetarian. I was like, I'm going to be vegetarian for a year. I would talk about it in my act, tweet about it, whatever. For almost that entire year, the rider that my agent would send to comedy clubs or clubs and colleges, whatever, would be a cold cut sandwich tray.
Yeah.
When I'm like, I don't eat the meat. And they don't care. It's just like a generic thing where they say, Chris needs this. I never like cold cut sandwiches. I don't want cold cut sandwiches. If anything, all I'd maybe want is pizza, fucking some tea, tiramisu, like fat guy shit. I want a fucking bologna sandwich from whatever bullshit deli. No.
Right.
But they don't care. The agents don't care. They just send these generic rider bullshit. But the sneakers, that seems like a specific request.
Well, let me tell you something funny. I'll tell you something really funny. And I can say it now because we'll never use the guy again because we had a thing. But the sneaker request, I thought was so egregious.
Right.
That it would come in and I would just go, oh man, we looked everywhere. They're out of stock. Your size, we couldn't get your size. And he would bitch a little bit and then move on. And I think it was really just an ego thing.
Sure.
Which is the question. See, because here's the other thing. When I watch you on stage, I don't know, you seem to have a very healthy, in-check ego. Like you're having as much fun as the audience.
I think one of the things, my father's, like, the one thing he would always remind me of and still does is there's always somebody better than you. And I think I dealt with a lot of anxiety, and people who deal with anxiety always carry it with them. But I think there was something that happened where with my anxiety, I realized the narcissism and ego attached to anxiety that makes me look at my old self from like a few years ago. Like, I hate that guy who was so self-obsessed with his symptoms and what was going on with him. And then I had my daughter and he becomes selfless. And I'm just like, the ego and narcissism I can see now in people. I'm like, it bothers me because I see it in myself. And I think like we're all like imperfect in many ways, but I'm just very much like, hey man, like the last thing I ever want to come across as is narcissistic or as someone who has a big ego, because it's one of the things that I despise. That in insecurity and narcissism are the two things I despise in human beings the most. So if I feel I have it, I try to nip it right away.
Are you saying about me because I'm perfect?
No, you're not. You can't hear anything.
Listen, real quick. I'm going to wrap it up. So, five
I'm
fast
not.
questions. Do you watch your numbers on social media like a maniac?
No. Well, look, if I post a video and it's not getting any comments or views, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm a fucking failure, blah, 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 blah. But I've been trying. It's not working as well as I hope, but I'm trying to only give myself 30 minutes a day on social media. If I have to post something for our career, I post it and then I put it away. I've been trying. It's hard, but I've been trying.
So, today I put that video up of me taking your tent money.
Yeah.
I just read your response. Very, very funny.
Yeah.
And, for me, I'm trying to build, right?
Right.
And I see that and I'm like, oh, man, one retweet and the number jumps.
Yeah.
So guys are going to ask you now,
Yeah.
help me.
Yeah.
And you have a business mind. You want to produce anybody?
Yes, that's the next thing. I would love to produce people's stuff. If my platform can get to a point where it can help someone, then I would love to do that. Because I don't want to be someone who's, in my 50s having to go on the road. If I can do it, I can do it. I don't want to have to do it.
Hey, what the fuck is wrong with that person?
Yeah.
So listen, I asked that because the business mind, pivoting during the show,
Right.
This is it, right? Like, listen, there's clubs. I met with all these clubs. I said, you're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, do something right now.
Right.
And we're trying, and God willing, we're going to be somewhat successful.
Right.
So for you, we are all egotistical, right?
Yes.
But today, I'm like, look at this. With the number of retweets and views right away of a nothing video.
Yeah.
A nothing video. So you'll have that opportunity. And listen, I've talked to you all night long. And when he goes up, if you want me to ask you 4 more questions, I have some. But you can be done too, though.
Yeah, let's just be done.
Did you like the interview?
I did actually.
How long did you like the interview?
I like the interview. I'm in one of those. What's nice about this time is now I'm just like I'm in a zen place. I think I'm violently depressed and I just don't know it. So nothing penetrates. So
Are you depressed, you think?
no.
No.
I don't think I am. I think I'm depressed like anybody else is. I just want the world to open. But in New York, Governor Homo won't open anything.
Yeah, well, the world's got to open. You can't hire. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Governor Homo.
Yeah, you make a lot of gay jokes.
I know.
Here's the last question. So you're not a woke comic at all.
No.
And your audience loves it.
Yeah.
You had no time for it, right?
No, because I just believe anybody who's doing that stuff, and it's not about woke or being conservative. I think anybody who's going extreme one way, in my opinion, is not doing it because they're genuine. They're doing it because they're not that good. I'm just talking about comedians. They're not that good at comedy, so they're trying to do a thing that 2019, 2020 times offers, where if you pick a side, you can get an audience. Where I'm trying to just I want to be funny in any era. I want it to be like my peers would respect me. They said, oh, Chris could have made it in 2005 or 2025, where some of my peers are like, they're only relevant because Trump was president or they went woke. They just had to pick a lane. They're people that cancel things or say the right thing. So to me, I see the bullshit in them and they're just timely.
And you'll joke about anything.
I don't like it. I'll joke about anything because I know in my heart, I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. I love people. I teach my daughter to try to lead with love. I thought being a comedian is my job in society is to say something that will cross the line or step up to the line to break the tension. If everybody,
Right.
I didn't think comedians were supposed to say the right thing. I thought we are comedians because we said the wrong thing. Like we were the class clowns and the ones who were getting detention. So why would I have to say the right thing? That's what a politician should do.
And you were a class clown.
I was a class clown. Yeah.
And teachers liked you, though.
Teachers, I fucked one of my teachers, yeah.
Yeah. I love this interview, and thank you for doing it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Would you mind retweeting me repetitively?
Yes.
Hey, thank you. Have a great show.
Thank you.